is Thursday. It is the 4th of May. It's about, 11:30. This is my second trip out today. Saint-Germain video channel. So the last creeping up on 2 weeks now, we've been rehabbing the kitchen. It's taken up all of my available time. The first week we went completely without the ability to use the kitchen while we were redoing the countertops. Had to pull the sink to do that. So no cooking for a week. Got to a point where I got the sink back in and was able to cook a few times, but still had an above average amount of takeout. Have been getting everything back in order over the last couple of days, and it's bothered me just a little bit that I haven't had the time to really focus on any of the Saint-Germain aspects of what I'm doing. But rehabbing this kitchen was a big deal. One, it's the heart of our house. It's where everything basically radiates out of that kitchen. That's where I spend almost all of my time, whether I'm cooking or not. I even just stand there when I'm watching TV. And the way our house is set up, the kitchen is open to our primary living area where our TV is at, and even my writing is at the breakfast bar side of the counter, where so everything comes out of there. My creative focal point is there, even though I've got my workshop in my garage. Everything that I write and do from home is from that area, and everything that I do as far as food obviously comes from there as well. And since I've decided to use the celebration of food and meals as a context to relate philosophical ideologies to others, is kind of a big deal for us to do all that, to rip everything out and redo it. And it's the first time I've ever been able to undertake a redecorating project and do it exactly how I wanted to. Everything along the way that I was like, oh, I think I'd like to try that, or I'd like to, use this material, or I'd like to use this color, or this whatever. It's the first time I've been able to fully have the financial freedom to put whatever I wanted in there. So standing back now, even though it's not completely done, we're to the point now where I just need to put some urethane so I got myself turned around here. I see where I'm at now. Urethane. We need to put some. I'm putting a coat of urethane over the cabinets. We painted the cabinets, replaced the tile, new kitchen faucet, new backsplash, just general upgrades, and it's I said, consumed a lot of my time, and I got this new computer so that I could get the software that I needed to design and develop my book cover, to have a little bit more creative power, a little more punch as far as what I was going to be able to throw into the Sage Gourmand website, which I've kind of just put on hold while I was waiting for this computer. But I've had the computer now for 2 weeks and I haven't really had any time to play around with it. And I feel good about where we're at. The kitchen's starting to come back together, and we actually start putting stuff back out onto the counters, and like I said, just a couple things left to do. But last night I had an idea of what I wanted to do. I wanted to seal the marble countertops, which didn't work out, and I wanted to start doing the urethane last night, which also didn't work out. So it left me with an opening, because I had slotted the evening to do those two projects, and for one reason or another it didn't play out that way. So I had some time, and one of the things that I had been kind of feeling anxious about is I had not been processing my videos. So I had 3 videos that were still on the camera that needed processing. I don't know how many more that still need uploading, and I was like, I'm just going to do that tonight. So I sat at the brand new countertop and busted out the brand new computer, the older computer, started uploading videos on one, and started downloading software on the other one to get it to what I needed it to be. It's been a while since I've been over here, so I think this is the script that I need. And it gave me a little bit of time to play around with cooking, because I've been kind of restricted on what I could do. Although I've done some experimentations here the last week or so with a couple of different meals, but I got to play around a little bit last night and try something new with what we had in the house, and was extremely happy with it. It came out great. That was exciting. But I got to sit and actually put some effort into moving forward with all that. The last couple of days I had reached out a little bit more on Twitter, because it was the one thing that I hadn't really spent a lot of time working on. And I recorded yesterday, and it's for my general YouTube channel, kind of talking about how much easier for me Instagram has been, and much more conducive to what I'm doing and how I do it. And I haven't really had a whole lot of time to engage in Twitter. And the more I was posting on Instagram, and I was picking up more followers and creating these new connections, Twitter was kind of at a standstill. As of like 3 days ago, I had, I think, 3 followers, and one of them was Rhonda, and the other 2 were default ones that just somehow picked me up somewhere along the line when I first started using that. Now, I tied everything together, so the Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, that's all connected. So when I use Instagram, it does carry over, which is nice. So there is a little bit of a presence there, but not to the extent of that I really wanted to use that. So I was kind of having a rough day the other day, and I needed to disconnect from some of the things that I was being sucked into. And I got onto Twitter, and I started looking. I just randomly started looking up different people that I thought that I would like to follow that I hadn't already done. Like I said, I hadn't really done that. So, and that led to more recommendations and more me following more people. And in all, I added probably 20 or 30 people to my following list. And it was an assortment of people that reflect my personality, which is, I have a lot of different interests, so I felt like I got a good mix of different things coming in. But I noticed almost immediately, within a couple hours, that I started getting some other people following me, just in response to me following them. And they were more the philosophical, metaphysical type of people that I see myself to be. And I really liked that. I liked that I had kind of reached out and established a connection, which is what you're doing when you click follow. You're creating a connection. You're putting yourself on somebody else's radar because they get a notification and they can ignore it and say, oh great, I've got another follower, or they can actively respond. It's active, action, reaction, interaction. And so in the last 2 days since I did that, I've picked up 13 more followers. So I had 3 and now I have 16, I think. Math adds up. And I like it. I like that I'm starting to have the opportunity to have an audience to what I say, but it's put a little pressure on me that now I need to start doing something with it. If I stay dormant, I'm going to lose some of the effect. So I had one individual that had actually instant messaged me thanking for following, which I don't know if that's proper etiquette, but I got somebody else that did that too. So, but it was nice because it took that interaction a step further. And then I responded, and then he responded back, and I responded again. So there's been a little bit of a trade-off going back and forth here, and that was the intent. That was everything that this was meant to be. And I'm hoping to take this to a much larger scale, and this is the starting point. This is what, and I'm excited about it. I feel today kind of like I'm walking on clouds. I just feel like I'm doing what I set out to do. There's a certain amount of satisfaction in my personal life at home, even though I've been tied up for the last 2 weeks working on this kitchen, to actually see now the nearly finished result of my efforts. It's a huge uplifting feeling anytime that you go through the creative process and you are happy with the outcome. And like I said, that's I'm tying this whole process of finding happiness in life to this food factor, because that's something you can do on a daily basis. You can create several times a day and be rewarded with your end result, plus you get to eat it after that, or get to have other people enjoy it. So it's tying all these things together into a platform that I can use to get a deeper message out there. And I feel really excited about it today, because just like the day that I picked up that hammer and chisel 2 weeks ago and started chipping out tile countertop, and now I'm sitting here looking at this new marble and stainless steel backsplash of my new kitchen. It's the same thing. I reached out the other day to try and create these new connections, and they're starting to come about. I'm starting to develop these connections with other individuals that will help me continue to pursue and achieve the goals I have set for myself. And again, I got out in the car today with this renewed excitement for life, which I've been kind of, and it's just my own doing. I become obsessive. So when I'm obsessed on something like redoing the kitchen, that's really what I'm locked into and all I can think about. And I become somewhat blinded or muted to the other things around me. So there's just this new sense of appreciation for the beauty around me. Even the scenery around when I've been driving today, and then the music that's been on the radio when I was listening to it earlier, it just all seemed to sync. Plus I've stopped a couple of times and just I added a few tweets to my Twitter account, which is it's moving in that direction. So very exciting. What I find odd is that last night I had a very unusual evening. I had a good night at home. I felt amazingly accomplished by the time I was done with the programs and the apps that I got loaded onto the new computer. Plus I got to play around with some of its capabilities, which I'm really impressed with. This Microsoft Surface book, I'm really excited about it. It's been everything that I expected it to be. And you know, being able to get to process 3 videos, which they were, I mean, it takes a long time on, you know, for this GoPro and that computer to sync up and to load each of those pieces and then mix them together and get it uploaded to a file. It takes some time, so it was very satisfying at the end of the night when I went to bed. Now, I went to bed and fell asleep like normal, and I felt good, and I woke up at some point, and I don't know why, but I felt really edgy, and I don't know what was going on. I don't know if something was crawling on me. I don't know if I was dreaming it or if I actually had something, but something woke me up, and it made me jerk, and when I jerked, I felt like I was under attack, and I started kind of feeling around, and I hit something on my chest. And again, I don't know if I dreamt this or if I was actually awake, but I hit something, and there was a little bit of a crunch and some legs to it. So I don't know if something was crawling on me, but half asleep in the dark, I just, you know, was scrambling and trying to throw away whatever, and I threw the covers off, and I was sitting on the edge of the bed, and I was feeling around in the bed and feeling myself, and it's pitch black in there, I can't see anything, but I remember just the feeling that I had. I wasn't sure what was going on. I really didn't know where I was consciously, if I was actually awake, but I do know at that point I had become fully awake and was all of a sudden like on fire. My whole body felt like I was radiating heat, and I've been through periods like that before, and they're weird, because what's strange about it is I actually physically affect the area around me. And usually Rhonda will wake up in the middle of the night, or wake up the next morning and be like, you know, it was, you know, you were hot last night. You were actually making the room hot. And I felt like I was just going to burst into flames. I don't know what was going on. But I was very uncomfortable. I was outside of the covers, and I was, you know, we got the ceiling fan going and a desktop fan going, you know, right on me, and I could not cool down. I felt like I was again radiating heat out into the room, and I laid there. It seemed like forever, but I mean, I felt like I was probably close to morning time, and uncharacteristic for me, I actually looked to see what time it was, and it was only 1:30, so it had only been 2.5 hours since I had shut everything off and closed my eyes. But I felt like it was already, you know, 7 o'clock in the morning, and I laid there, and it seemed like forever. And I finally got to this level of comfort where I felt like I could go back to sleep without having to think about is something crawling on me, or, you know, what else is going on, and drifted off. But had the rest of the night was these dreams filled with rage, and it happens on occasion, and I try to understand them and explain what is going on when those things happen, just so that I have it for my own personal reference. But generally that feeling of rage carries over into the next day. I'm usually very, very tense, very irritable, and that usually creates a very tense and irritable environment around me. It has a tremendous effect on the people that I come in contact with, and it's usually a pretty rough day the day after having some of those extreme dreams and experiences, and I didn't have any of that carry over today. It was just like a completely separate, disconnected situation. But I got up. It was 5 minutes late, by the way, and I set 6 alarms in the morning, and it's part of my routine. One goes off at one time and another time and another time, and I mentally process these, and I get up at 7 o'clock, boom. And somehow I missed one. I don't know how I ended up out of sorts, but I know I was sitting there waiting for the last one to go off, and decided that something didn't feel right again, and looked at the clock, and it was 5 after. So I don't know. It was just, but and that has the ability usually to throw me out of sorts for the day too. Anytime my sleeping / waking routine is thrown out of whack in the morning, it has the potential to kind of put me in a tailspin. And even if I don't allow, because sometimes I'm thrown out of a whack because I'm angry about it, but sometimes I just disregard it. But even then, I just don't feel clear. My clarity, my focus just does not seem to be there. Just something in that transition of sleep state back to waking state is not right. So I don't feel like I come back completely, at least not in the capacity that I would normally come back and into the waking state. And generally, I feel like I'm walking around dumb the rest of the day. I didn't have that either, so it was weird. But I did notice I got up and I still felt warm, and I went out of our bedroom into the hallway, and felt much cooler. And the temperatures have been getting cooler overnight, and our temperature in our house, I have the air conditioning set right now at 77, so it's 77 through the day, even though it's been hitting close to 90 during the day, but it usually cools down overnight into the 50s, and our temperature in our house is usually about 70 when morning comes around. And the thermostat is out in the main living area, not in our bedroom, but our bedroom is usually the same temperature. It's the same. I mean, there's no difference. You walk out of our bedroom in the morning into the other rooms, and there's a continuity in temperature. But I remember walking out of our bedroom thinking, it feels a lot cooler. And then I went out to get the dogs just to feed the dog this morning, and it was really cool outside. And when I came back in, I felt, the difference between what it was outside in the main living area of our house. But when I walked back into our bedroom, it was probably 10 to 12 degrees warmer in our bedroom than anywhere in the house, which it doesn't happen. It's just the physics of our home and the dynamics of our insulation and the outside to inside temperature. It doesn't happen. So it just really lent more to what was going on last night, and why was I generating so much heat, enough to change the temperature in our bedroom and have my sleeping wife realize that it was hot in there and that it was coming from me. So it was just a strange night all the way around. But again, traditionally, I've been through situations like that. I've experienced things like that. They're not common, but they happen. But there's usually a pattern of circumstances after that throughout the day that are usually very similar. And there was none of that today. It was completely different. So not sure what is going on and what that had to do with anything, but bottom line is I feel fantastic today, and I feel like I'm achieving, and that's a fantastic feeling. So I've got a move out to do here. I have everything written down that I need, and I'm gonna go ahead and take care of the business that I came here to take care of.